Welcome to Nefertiti's Cultural and Tourism YouTube channel, presented by the researcher, the Egyptian lawyer, Mr. Saleh Attia. 10 materials used by pharaohs in embalming. The pharaohs, ancient Egyptians, at one time were unique in the doctrine of resurrection after death and immortality in the other world. Death was the gateway to eternity and life that has no end, where you think with the thought that human life on earth is short and that there must be a second life longer and better. So they watched the flowers and herbs, how they could grow from small dry dead seed to extend for generations and generations, and again the worms and insects, how they can live again after stillness in a cocoon of silk. They started looking for a way to save their bodies after the spirits broke up. These souls must return and recognize the human habitat stowaway that they have one day on earth. They're their bodies. And by experience and success, failure, observation, they came up with several conclusions. Its essence is the use of certain substances through which they preserve the shape of the body so that it does not spoil or decompose, so that one day the soul can recognize it and solve it to live the life of eternity forever. They used several materials, including the materials around them that were in their environment. Some of them have been brought away from them to complete the embalming process to help them in the process of preserving the body, bending it and continuing its survival. And so they invented the so-called embalming. From these materials used one natron. It is a natural salt consisting of a mixture of sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate and a small percentage of sodium chloride and sodium sulfate. It is a compound that is loving to absorb water extracted from the quarries of the western desert in the area of Wadi al-Natrawn in Egypt, and also from deep static lakes that evaporate and dry the water extracted from the quarries of the western desert in the area of Wadi al-Natrawn in Egypt, and also from deep static lakes that evaporate and dry the water. It is located in the northwest of Cairo, now near the Libyan border. It is a sacred material in the ancient Egyptians called hasman in their ancient language, used in purification and sterilization, and was collected and stored in embalming temples where the pharaohs used it very intelligently to reduce the weight of the body of the dead by extracting water from it, where water represents more than 75% of the body weight almost, because they discovered that water causes the growth and reproduction of the bacteria of decomposition that spoil the features of the body to be curved, preserving the body's body, shape, and features until the soul recognizes it and returns to it in the other world. They put it on the body of the deceased at the beginning of the embalming process in many ways and in more than one case. Covering the entire body of this coarse natronic salt and leaving it for long periods, maybe up to 40 or 70 days, periodically renovated, where wet salt saturated with water is removed and replaced by dry, where the body is placed on a sloping stone bed to facilitate the process of water coming down. The natron was also placed in bags made of linen placed inside the body of the deceased and between the folds of his body to absorb water from the end. It's a technique created by the old Egyptian, where the natron helps to save the body from corruption in its form so as not to spoil it by the bacteria of decomposition and rot, and they were also using the solution of the natron by inserting it into the cavities of the body after the removal of the viscera, and were placed those bowels in this natiron fluid to protect it from damage in preparation for putting it in the canopy pots that are placed next to the deceased, or insert some of them into the body of the deceased again after wrapping them with linen such as kidneys and heart. 2. Flax. An around plant of the linen family has small seeds extracted from it. Oil has a permeable smell and results from its thin long fiber legs through several stages to obtain it, used by the ancient Egyptians in the manufacture of their clothes, and also weaved from them. The coils of their shrouds were woven hand-woven of a special quality of flax with precision and skill. Women in ancient Egypt often did this work. The ancient Egyptian knew the characteristics of linen filaments and the characteristics of the fabric made of it. In addition to being covering the body and covering it, it has properties such as sponge, as it absorbs water with lust. Where the pharaohs used it in the work of closed bags containing the salt of the natron in multiple spherical or rectangular forms were placed inside the body of the deceased or between the folds of the body to absorb the water, and was emptied of its content after a while to be reused. And after the embalming process, they were also wrap each body of the deceased with rolls of pure linen about 9 centimeters wide and up to 3 meters long, where the number of scrolls increased whenever the dead were princes or rich, and are colored and written on them, and placed between each fold of linen amulets and talismans that identify the dead in the other world. 3. Beeswax. A solid transparent white smart-smelling tend to lean yellow color produced by bee workers from a special gland inside it called the sterns under the rings of their bellies. It has multiple properties. It is antiseptic and antibacterial, dissolves heat and fills the voids that are placed in it, and returns to its first solid state. Where the pharaohs noted that bees make houses for him from that material in preparation for the laying of eggs by the queen, and then the new generation comes out of those hexagonal hole-sealed shape after completing its growth as if it were resurrected to a new life. The ancient Egyptian pharaohs took care of this and used this material to embalm their dead. For its unique properties in stopping decomposition, corruption of corpses, filling in the blanks and scars that are in the body of the deceased after the extraction of the internal bowels. They were putting it off from the nostrils to settle inside the skull to fill the brain vacuum, and to fill the openings in the body, such as mouth, ears, eyes, and left incision in the mummy's side in the stages of embalming. Scientists also found it in the genital openings of some female mummies. 4. Resin, gum or alkali. It is an organic tree secretion spun pine tree. Once taste. Smart smelling. It has an anti-growth effect of bacteria and dissolves in fire to give a fresh, fragrant scent such as incense. The pharaohs brought it to the country of Bunt, Ethiopia and Somalia, where the mummified pharaohs used it to paint the bodies of death during the process of embalming to fill all the pores of the skin and prevent moisture from reaching the body and also isolate it from microorganisms and insects as well as paste coils and layers of linen together. Imagine you're a mummified priest, so you might enjoy the work while you're inhaling incense. 2. 5. Metal bitumen. The pharaohs get it from the Dead Sea and brought it to ancient Egypt. 2. Scientists with its unique properties in isolation and stability, and has confirmed to scientists the use of the pharaohs for the metal continent in the embalming of 2 mummies in the Egyptian Museum were discovered in the area of Tuna Mountain in the governor of Minya in Egypt, where the cranial cavity fills the skull professionally after the removal of the brain from it. Follow us in the second part to learn about the rest of the secrets of mummification of the ancient Egyptians. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new from the Nefertiti Tourist channel. Thank you. Regards. Saleh Atiyah.